All right, good afternoon. I'm Surprise Mayor Kevin Sartor and called this press conference because it's vital that our residents hear the outcome of our meeting with the Department of Homeland Security directly from the city. Our responsibility pertaining to the ICE facility is straightforward. Protect the community, ensure transparency, and get the answers we need from our federal partners. While we originally planned to share this information during our April 7th council meeting, it became clear that our residents and the media needed the information sooner. We will still provide a formal update on April 7th, but today is about transparency and immediate clarity. Since late January, when we first learned about the DHS facility purchase, our number one goal has been to obtain answers and protect our community. Our council and staff have been focused on listening, documenting your questions, advocating for answers, and ensuring the city remains safe and capable of providing for our residents. Over the last several months, we have listened to hours of public comment, and I want everyone who had the courage to speak to this council to know that we heard you, and we took your questions directly to Washington, D.C. and shared them with the DHS representatives. I acknowledge that for some, the outcome of this meeting will not be satisfactory. However, as your mayor, I am confident that the relationships established and the answers obtained put the city of Surprise in the best position moving forward. I want to thank our state and federal elected officials from both sides of the aisle who helped us amplify Surprise's voice. They all acknowledged the initial lack of transparency from DHS and stood with us, demanding direct communication for our city. On March 19th, city leadership met with DHS and ICE representatives and discussed many topics, including the impact to our community, zoning, legal authority and environmental impacts, public safety protocol and release procedures, financial protections, future governance, and communication. Beyond the high-level discussions, we asked for a clear picture of what this facility is and what it is not. Regarding facility operations, DHS reaffirmed that this will be a processing center with an expected stay of 3 to 7 days. The facility will house single adults only. When individuals leave the facility, they will either be transferred to a mega site in El Paso or Salt Lake City, or return to their point of origin, all while in ICE custody. DHS anticipates operations will begin with approximately 250 individuals per week, with a cap of occupied beds of 542. We asked questions pertaining to the safety and logistics, and DHS stated there will be no releases into the Surprise community. This facility will not trigger local immigration enforcement activities. There will be no operations in sensitive areas such as schools, churches, or senior centers. DHS answered questions regarding the security and security of the facility, stating that the processing center will have a secure perimeter, 24/7 surveillance, and controlled access. Additionally, they proposed medical stations to include secure areas to store pharmaceuticals, recreation zones, private meeting rooms for family visitation, legal counseling, and a cafeteria. While we cannot stop a federal agency from purchasing land, we can work to mitigate their impact to Surprise. DHS proposed a reimbursement for property tax loss. DHS agreed to share site plans and engineering drawings with us. DHS agreed to host facility tours with city leadership and create a community relation board with city-appointed representation, which will allow for greater communication and transparency. DHS also stated there will be limited visibility in the community, ensuring transportation would happen discreetly to minimize community impact and disruption. Additionally, we requested a cost recovery mechanism for our police and fire and EMS services. As a final note, my primary takeaway from this meeting with DHS is that they are committed to timely and consistent coordination with the city moving forward. Since our meeting, the ICE Deputy Field Office Director here in Phoenix has already been in contact with our city manager, and they have a meeting planned in the next few weeks. In closing, to our Surprise residents, my message today is one of progress, but not finality. We have moved from a place of zero communication and information to a position of direct communication and coordination. Lastly, the city will continue to advocate until these proposals are memorialized. Thank you. I'll take a few questions from the media. If you're a resident here, I encourage you to attend our April 7th council meeting during our call to the public. Yes, ma'am.
Lillian with AC 15. So you said that there's going to be no activity at schools, churches, community centers. We know that this location is closer to some of those buildings. How are you going to make sure that the city monitors that? And is Surprise looking to potentially do something similar to what Phoenix is looking at in outlining clearly what federal officials can do or cannot do on properties?
So your first question was, how do we make sure that they don't go into those schools? I think it just goes down to coordinating with DHS. We've expressed our concern with that during the meeting, and they reaffirmed that they would not operate in those areas. I think maintaining communication with them is the best way to go about that. Regarding what Phoenix may have done, our April 7th council meeting is the first time that this elected body will be able to talk about it together. And so I'm looking forward to hearing those discussions and what comes out of it. Yes, ma'am.
There was a discussion with the mayor of Salt Lake City over water access and limiting that to the warehouse that's planned there. Was there a similar discussion? Their reasoning is very similar to something that I think people in the community here would say, the drought and the limited water that we already have.
I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you asking if we're going to limit their water or that we have
Was
limited
there a
water?
discussion like that? The mayor of Salt Lake City has proposed that. Is that something that you've considered?
No, our water department does a phenomenal job, and we have an excellent water portfolio that would absorb the impact of the facilities. That's not a concern of ours. Yes, sir.
Brad Resnick with 12 News. How soon will the detainees begin showing up, and how many?
So when we got a letter back from Congressman Paul Gosar, well, he got a letter from DHS. They had said by the end of the federal fiscal year. We're still trying to figure out the exact date. I would say probably within the next 3 to 6 months.
But by the end of September?
September.
And how many?
They said initially no more than 250.
Hi, Alexis with Arizona's Family. You mentioned that DHS offered a reimbursement for loss of tax revenue. So has the city looked at exactly how this is going to impact homeowners in that area? Are they going to be losing equity in their homes because of the proximity to this facility?
In the city of Surprise, it's in an industrial area. I know right across Dysart Road is El Mirage, and I don't know the impact. I couldn't speculate on the impact of this facility on their property, but for us in that property tax, it's specific to the city. If it were operating as a normal distribution center, we get about $300,000 a year out of that property tax, and so we're working with them to try to recover that money.
Do you know an idea of how much money the city will be getting as a reimbursement?
Not yet. We're still working through the details of that. I'm gonna have to go local with Jason Stone.
You may not like this question though, but I got to ask it. Obviously, this has been a contentious issue with residents. I mean, there's people outside right now protesting this, and probably will until this thing opens, and maybe past that. About a year and a half ago, a resident of Surprise was arrested right about this spot right here, and that gained national attention. And this stuff that's going on now is getting both national and in some cases international attention. Is there any worry to Surprise's long-term reputation with some of these things that people hear about the city who don't live here?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. There's a concern with that. I mean, we have an amazing city, 170,000 residents. We have top-notch, police, fire, recreation, and so those are the things that I want Surprise to be known for, not what happened last year or this DHS facility. So it is a concern of mine, but we're going to continue to work as a council to make sure that, one, if residents come in here, they're heard. I think we've demonstrated that throughout the last handful of council meetings that, we'll sit here for hours. The meetings go until, 11 o'clock at night, which is important, I think, for residents and really non-residents that come here to know that this council is going to listen. But additionally, we also have as a council to make sure that our city turns out the way that we want it to be. And so that's a concern, but we're going to work with council and staff to make sure that we're continuing to build the Surprise that we want.
Well, hi, Elena with the Arizona Republic. You had said at a previous meeting, like having this facility here is a problem for you. And I'm wondering, even though this line of communication is a positive step for you all compared to a few months ago, is it still a problem for you slash the city of Surprise to have it here? Also, what reports have you directed staff to create to figure out your own impact? Since you are the local body here, what impacts this will have to you, if negative or positive?
Yeah, I think to clarify, I believe I said I was frustrated with the situation. And it is still frustrating, but we can't lead from a point of frustration. We have to lead from a point of facts. And that was the intention of going to the meeting to DC to talk to DHS to get facts so we don't live in this ambiguous world. And we're going to continue to move forward with those facts and continue to work to get additional information from DHS as we move forward. What was the second part of your question?
What impacts have you, well, I guess my first question is, have you directed any city staff to figure out any impacts from what you guys know, what this facility will have on the city?
I mean, if you talk about impacts, I'm assuming you mean resources, infrastructure, public safety. Absolutely. We've directed staff to look into that, and they are looking into that. And we're continuing to, I think the answers we got from DHS help kind of put that picture into focus for us. And we're going to just continue to refine our I want to use the word estimates, I guess, but the impact of the city to make sure that we are maintaining for our residents, making sure we have a safe, secure city. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us who was at the table with you representing DHS at that meeting? And when you left, what questions did you feel were not answered?
I'll answer your first question first. That DHS was very open in the meeting. They led with a lot of the information that we kind of already knew, but they opened up and just had normal dialogue, and it was kind of refreshing to hear, from the federal government. Because we hear about ICE and all this, they've been quiet for quite some time, and so have that was good. I think we met with the project coordinator from DHS that's running the entire program. I don't know. I don't remember I think his name was Tim Kaiser from DHS. Mhm.
Did he mention at the time that the project might be slowing down? Because there was word of that after Christine was fined.
I think with the new secretary coming in, I think a lot of things are maybe a little bit up in the air for DHS. I don't want to speak for them by any stretch of the imagination, but I know with the new secretary, there's new leadership, there's potentially new direction. So I couldn't say what their plans are holistically, but I know what they said about the facility in Surprise, and that's what we're going to plan on. Thank you.
Hi, Morgan, Phoenix New Times. I was curious about what exactly this communication will look like between you and DHS going forward. How detailed were you given an idea of how detailed it will be, and will it continue after the center is up and running?
Yeah, from my perspective, it's constant communication. That's the only way we're going to get through this as a city, is to make sure that we're in contact with them. If we have any questions, they get them answered. I think to speak to some of the things that I mentioned, I'd like to get those in a memorandum of understanding or agreement to make sure that what they said in that meeting was followed through for the city of Surprise. I think for me, that's the next step. But moving forward, it's constant communication. And like I said, our city manager has already been in contact with their deputy field director, and I think that demonstrates DHS's willingness to communicate with the city.
Is that your point of contact, the deputy field director going forward?
Here in the city of Phoenix, yes.
As an elected official,
Mhm.
there, as mentioned before, there is a planned protest, protesters outside. There have been protests within the city over the past several weeks. How do you move forward as a elected official when you have a number of community members speaking out against this? Saying that you feel the communication with DHS has been sufficient, despite
Mhm.
that, going against a lot of community members' wants. Like, they don't want this in their community.
Right. I think as the mayor, it's important that we listen. We listen to those residents. We took their concerns. I mean, there was many times, many hours that we listened. And I sat right here as mayor and listened to their concerns and writing them down. And those are the questions we took to DHS among our own questions. So I would say, for them, don't stop. We hear you. We hear the protests. We hear when they come in and talk to us, and I appreciate that dialogue and that opportunity for us to hear directly from residents. I would never ask them to stop, but we're going to continue. I mean, from where we started as a city with DHS to where we're at now as far as communication, it's a good start. And so I want to continue to reach out to them, continue to have that coordination with them.
What do you say to people who don't necessarily want that communication and just don't want this facility at all? And how does the city move forward with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the federal government purchased the land, and whether we want it here or not, they're here. And so, from my perspective, how do we move forward as a city? How do we get information? And that's what this is about. We're going to talk as a council on April 7th. And if we go a different way, this is what we're going to do. But as of right now, we went and got information. I want to communicate to the residents that our city is working for you. We're getting information, and we're going to continue to do that. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to understand real quick. So you said you wanted to have a memorandum of understanding or agreement to kind of sign, seal, deliver, put it in writing. Is that something that you're going to be proposing on April 7th?
We've already, I was working with Congressman Paul Gosar. We've already had a meeting about him, again, helping with getting that memorandum of agreement. I think from a local city to the federal government, there can be some, well, it just takes a long time. So I appreciate his ability or want to help us get that memorandum of agreement in place because it's important for our city. Yes, ma'am. Oh, one behind you.
What was the, you said 250 migrants will be processing at a time, but you said the maximum amount of beds was how many?
542.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions and wrap it up. Jason had, well, go ahead. You're right there.
Sorry. Just to speak to kind of what Alexis was saying, I've seen these questions too with the people who don't want this here and wondering, they see what's happening in other cities who are that are fighting back. Why? I know a lot of people are wondering why isn't Surprise or why didn't Surprise, put their foot down and say, no, we don't want this here, even if, you are frustrated with it.
No, I think a lot of those cities that have moved forward with those things, we don't know what the outcome of those are. So I don't, from my perspective, I didn't want to initiate something that may not have come to fruition. That's why it was important that we reach out and try to communicate and see what their plans are, what their intent is, and then go from there. Jason.
Yeah, I was thinking about long-range planning. Oh, thank you. I was thinking about long-range planning. Is the city looking at this as something that's going to be here 50 years from now, or are you aware that planning for like 2 years from now, a new president comes in and this thing gets shut down right away? How do you plan for things like that, just not knowing that how long this place could even be there?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to speculate. I mean, with a change of administration, with all those things, I can't speculate how long it's going to be here or any of that. I know from our goal as a city is to make sure that we get information, make sure that our residents are safe, that we're providing for them. That's really the short-term goal. So thank you for that. Okay. Any last questions? I appreciate your time. Oh, yes.
Do you get any pushback from the surrounding businesses that were planning their own industrial? Any pushback from them?
There was I think a cheer and a gymnastics that came in. Company that was right across the street from them. They had some concerns about it.
Have you spoken to them? Are they comfortable with it?
I haven't spoken to them directly since we came back from Washington D.C. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time.